Welcome to Hunt Outdoors with my special guest this week, David Shepard, past IBO World and National Champion, record book holder of white-tailed deer in Indiana, with Chris Hunt. Hey, he's my son and he's in the Marines. He's back with us this week for a special hunt. He's a heck of an outdoorsman. Enjoy this one. With Cody Hunt, he's my partner, my cameraman. He's a record book holder of white-tailed deer in Indiana, and he loves to fish. He's an outdoorsman. And let's not forget my beautiful wife, Kelly Hunt. Hey, she's going to give you some tips in Kelly's kitchen, and guess what? She's also an outdoors person. You'll see her more. And of course, I'm Ed Hunt. I'm a record book holder of white-tailed deer in Indiana, Pope and Young, and a past IBO national champion. So stick around and let's see what we can do with bow hunting just for the fun of it. Sitting here enjoying a nice hot cup of coffee before Cody and I head out for the stand, and it's the beginning of bow season. It's only the second day of bow season's opener, and we'll be here for 3 days. We're going to camp, do it the old way. And you know, 41 years ago, that's how I started off. Coming up, and pitching a tent in the woods, and having a campfire, and eating over the fire. And my wife Kelly joins us, and Cody's girlfriend Lexi joins us, and Cody, of course, Cody Hunt, our team member and cameraman. And you know, 41 years ago, there wasn't very many deer in Indiana, and we had to travel a long ways just to find deer. There was no deer in our county. Believe that or not, none. So we traveled a long ways and camped. And you know, the tradition carries on. You know, the tree behind us is the very same tree I hung one of my first deer in over 40 years ago. And that tree has hung deer and hung deer and hung deer from myself and many of my friends. And we're going to go see what we can't get on the ground this season. So follow along. This is just the first of many outings for us and many shows. Deer season 2015 begins in minutes. Stick around. The party has just started.
There you go. Okay. Welcome to the deer woods. The wind isn't hardly a factor in here. Okay? We're going back in here, and Cody's on the camera, and we're going to switch off. Whoever decides to shoot's going to shoot. So it's a team hunt tonight. Get ready. We're going to see some deer action. I just know it. Let's go. Alright, we're up. Hunt number 1 of the year. Got all our stuff ready. I'm bow hunting. Cody's got the crossbow. We're not sure who's going to shoot. We're hunting over the cornfield plot in our show tribe. Windy, so that's going to cover a lot of our noise. I just hope it's not too windy, okay? Kind of northeast wind, pretty hard. Stick around. We might get to see something. What a beautiful evening. No deer yet, it's been real windy. I mean, look at that sunset over those trees. It's absolutely gorgeous here this time of year. We've got about another half hour of shooting light left, and then legal will have passed. So it's okay. As long as you're trying, and here we are, we're trying. We can't be real loud. Even though the wind's covering us up, we can't be real loud. So, stay tuned. We'll see what happens. About done for the evening. deer slip in behind us back here in the brush by the time we got the camera around. It was already gone. It's just so noisy with this wind, we can't hear.
We got pineys everywhere.
Huh?
We got chipmunks everywhere too.
Yeah, we can't hear anything. And the foliage is on. So, 10 more minutes, we're just going to climb on out here and have some dinner. That'll be the end of legal shooting light. So, it's been real. We're going to be right back at it in the morning. Probably be on a different location in the morning. So, stay tuned. Well, what do you think?
I think the wind needs to die down. Once that happens, we should have some pretty good sight.
I agree. All right, we're gonna get on out of here and be back later.
That's a good sign.
This is right behind our stand. You can see by the discoloration. Right here by the boat trail. We didn't even see it mowing. This is last spring. This spring. You understand? Right there. This is awesome. What do you think you'll be this year? You can tell what he was. He was ablated at least. If all things being equal, he was a minimum of 10. But you can see he's split and, out here. And this was bladed and come up. And, these antlers are way down. This deer is going to be a big old deer this year. He was a big deer last year. So, here's the deal. These, if you'll remember from the shed show, these are important. And here's one that was missed. And it was dropped. The crazy part was dropped less than a foot off a mowed path. Everywhere we hunt, we mow paths. The deer use them. We use them. And he walked right down that path or trotted down that path. And it hit and bounced right off and rolled right off into the weeds. It was in such a place that the squirrels didn't eat it bare, but they did chew on it. And there's a lot of nuts and acorns and stuff. It's been a pretty good find. And you can see the dark from where it laid all summer. And then the white where it was up like this. This was sticking up out of the grass, so it's real white. There's the burr, as they call it, the burr, the base. So, I ain't saying we're going to kill him, because there's no guarantees. But I can tell you this. I knew where we were. We looked at the preseason scouting show just a week or two ago. And as you saw, we haven't figured out how he's moving. It's just getting him moving during daylight hours, and you know what? If he doesn't do it now, he's gonna do it during the rut. It's just about being patient. Play the wind and hunt right. Let's see what we can see this evening.
got 4 now. That one's really old. That's a big doe. Don't move. Those are all nice deer. There are no little ones in there. We're right down here. Oh, they're playing. Are we in the right spot? That's a close one. That's a real close one.
What'd you guys think of that? Is that pretty cool? They're just bedded down here about 75 yards from us, 50 yards, 75 yards. That's why I was so careful. We had to be so careful getting in. They're staying out in the open because of the wind, just like I suspected. We spent too much time, 2 hunts on that stand over there that's inside the woods, just off the end of the corn. I can't control which way they turn. Tonight they turned and went north. Tomorrow they may turn and come down here. That being said, we're going to take care of that. This week, we're going to sneak in another ladder stand set, just like the one we're in. And we're going to put it down there about 300 yards down from us, so we can sneak into that. And they'll never know we're here either, okay? This is dangerously close. And unless you're really, really good deer hunter and really understand wind and sound and deer, you don't want to get as close as we got tonight. And I'm not saying we're great, but I've done this a few 1,000 times and it takes some practice. All right, stick around. That can't be all of them, okay? The moon guide says 6:19's prime movement, so we're inside that window an hour either side. So as a matter of fact, let me check, because my phone's almost dead. It is 6:26 p.m. So guess what time those deer came out? The moon guide works, guys. Get one today and follow what it says. Okay. I know, looks like we've got plenty of light. We really don't. And it's starting to get dangerous to where we can get caught on stand here. You don't want to get caught on stand on a food plot. The deer are gone. We're going to get the heck out of here before we get hammered. Hunt number 3 of the year in the books. It's getting better. Let's see what we do tomorrow. All right. Day 2. We're back here on the same stand. We're going to give this tent another shot. The wind's still just howling. Okay. This wind is going to be a problem all weekend. So when you're hunting a wind condition like this, patience pays. And a lot of times they are already down because the woods is so loud. Many times they'll go out and set aside brush or find a ravine somewhere, but they don't like to move because they can't hear everything's moving and they can't really see well. Deer vision works on movement, not colors, not shapes, movement. So with everything moving and everything loud, and to top it off, this defeats their nose. When it's blowing this hard and swirling like it is, they can't get a bearing on anything if they pick it up with their sense of smell. And their sense of smell is one of the keenest in the entire animal kingdom. So we're going to give this about 2.5 or 3 hours this morning, okay? And if we don't get on anything, we'll probably change up our tactics this evening. So stick around. Ed and Cody hunt, and we're going to see if we can't find at least someplace where the deer might get up in time to take a shot at them.
Well, you know, funny things happen in the woods. David was coming down out of his ladder stand. We were calling it a morning. And David, why don't you explain to these good folks this morning why this kill's not on film?
Well, we decided to call it quits with all the ruckus and farming and everything that was going on. We decided to call it quits this morning. And I packed everything up. The bow was hanging on the rope, and as it would happen, I was coming down the ladder and hung up the phone. I was coming down the ladder, and here comes some deer right up beside me. So I just eased my bow back up and knocked an arrow and turned around and shot her right there on the ladder right there behind me.
Why don't you explain what's so important about the placement of that particular shot?
Well,
on this nice piece of meat you got laying here.
This deer didn't get to go very far because of where it hit. Actually hit both shoulders. It was perfectly broadside, and it's not a bad spot to hit one, I don't reckon.
Yeah, you know, David said he walked up there and he didn't even have to wait to come down. I mean, he already had the bow in his hands, and he got to watch it run, what, how many yards before it fell down? 8, 10?
8, maybe 8.
It's you know, I wish we had this on camera, but things happen. And, you know, when they run 8 or 10 yards and fall down dead, and you can tell by the shot placement here that this gigantuan hole was perfectly placed. And Dave, why don't you explain to them what kind of broadhead you're using that busted both those shoulders?
To start with, I'm not shooting. We've alluded to that before in our tuning segment, but we're shooting real heavy arrows. And Ed and I've learned that from years past, that it's not shooting targets where you shoot real light arrows. And I'm shooting a real heavy arrow, and I'm shooting 125 grain head, and it's all steel. There's no aluminum on the heads that we use.
Right.
And it's a 4-blade slick trick. And I think they started developing them, using them on hogs. But they work pretty well on deer.
Now explain to them what other deer was with this one and why you didn't shoot her and why you picked to shoot this one.
It was about a 130-pound doe, and probably she kind of runs the show back there, and there wouldn't have been no sense in shooting her knowing I haven't killed a buck yet, and she's going to bring a buck in later on when she comes in heat, but I can only manage what I got here on my property, and I can't manage it when it gets on the other side of the fence. But
David let that 130-pound doe go. Well, you know, congratulations, David. And now it's time for your tip of the week. Let's join David Shepard, and for you guys that's never done it before, let's find out how to field dress a deer. This could save your fingertips, or at least a big mess. Okay, so this is Gutting Deer 101, and as you notice, Dave has started right there at the bottom of the rib cage, and what he's doing right now is he's splitting open the viscera cavity while holding the guts back, as so not to punch them, because that's the last thing you want to do. And he's going to keep pushing that on back until it gets clear back between her legs. Alright, now he's going to reach up in there and he's going to locate the liver. What he's doing is going around in circles around the liver, cutting the diaphragm out. Now this is tight work. Watch your fingers, because you'll lose them or get stitches. Now he's coming on around the bottom to release the diaphragm and the esophagus off the bottom of the rib cage. And what you're hearing is the neighbor blowing leaves over here across the road at his home. So here we go. There's the liver, the stomach bag, and the intestines. Now, in a minute, you're going to get to see the lungs and how much blood actually is inside that lung cavity that didn't hit the ground. Alright, now what he's going to do is lay that aside. Now, what he'll do here is go up inside, locate the heart, and now that he's located the heart, what he's doing is disconnecting the esophagus and the windpipe or trachea from the front of the neck, and he's pulling back with some pressure while he's doing it, and he's got it right there in his hand. There it is. He put a perfect hole right in the side of it, blew the top of it off. That was a real good shot. Okay, Dave, now we're going to roll this deer over, and he's going to raise it up, and you're going to witness how much blood is clotted up in that chest cavity. There it is. There you go. Now, that's important. You need to get that blood out of there. Now, what he's going to do here, I'm going to step around behind, is he's going to cut the anus out. And he'll go make a circle. Let me get up here over your shoulder. He's going to cut a circle out around this. Here, I'm going to try to do this and help him. Alright. Alright, so he's going to put a hole right beside it, not in it. And he's going to cut, while holding on to it, a semicircle. Here, Dave, let me have that leg. He's going to cut a circle all the way around that. And then, when he's done, what he'll do is he'll fish hook it, and he'll pull it out while cutting the membrane loose up inside between the pelvic bone.
Pays to have a sharp knife.
It does pay to have a sharp knife, and watch your fingers. There it comes, right there. Now he's going to pull that out with both hands. There it is. Just keep hold of it and just keep pulling, and that's it. Now, this deer is done gutted.
Not a bunch of leaves.
Not a bunch of leaves, no intestinal tract stuff in it.
Good, fresh, young meat.
This is the best eating in the woods, next to a button buck, in my opinion. We'll be back. We're headed out here on the family farm today, and you know, we've got a lot of good trail cam pictures down here on the food plot. This is our first time over the food plot, and down here along the creek, and we're getting ready to get after it. That diesel you just heard is David headed for his woods. He just went up the hill. This is Chris Hunt. He's the Marine, and you guys know Cody. There's 3 of us hunting. Today we only have 1 camera in the woods, so there is a possibility of getting a shot at something and not getting it on camera. But that's our mistake. But we're going to try to do what we can, and who knows, we might even get some other footage. So we're headed to the woods, and it's warm. It's 65 or 66 degrees. We've got the perfect wind, and we're going to see if we can't get something going on. But know this, the corn was just harvested down here in the bottom today. They just wrapped it up. That could stand against us this evening, because quite frankly the corn is right across the tree line from where the food plot is. So we may or may not see anything, but I guarantee in the next 2 or 3 hunts we will. Maybe a little dog talk. But by the way, that was the green-eyed dove from Hunt Outdoors. You guys really need to check these calls out. They're pretty darn good. We got a dove right here in front of us. It looks like a small pond. Maybe.
Load it up. Load it up. He just stopped right over there in the weeds. There he goes. I don't know. So freaking quick. I can't even load this here. Alright, lower it. Good job, Chris. Let's go see what you got. Alright, it was right up in here. This is where he rolled around right here. Then he took off through here.
And now it's time for a taste of the wild side. Let's see what's cooking in Kelly's kitchen.
Hi, welcome to Kelly's Kitchen. Today we're going to be making a venison meatloaf, one of our family's favorite meals. I've got 2 pounds of ground venison in here from the buck that Eddie took this year. I'm going to be adding some salt and pepper. I like the ground that I can grind it as we're talking. Maybe about 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, whatever your family likes. A little bit of salt. 1/2 to 1 teaspoon. We're kind of watching our salt, so we're not going to use that much. I've got a couple of fresh eggs from the chickens out back. I'm going to stick those in there. I have some ketchup. Our family likes the ketchup version of meatloaf. Just a baby 1/2 cup of ketchup, about 1/4 cup of milk, and then some binder. I use breadcrumbs from a can. You can make your own breadcrumbs. You can take saltine crackers and crumble those up and stick them in. Or you could take oatmeal, instant oatmeal. That's also good. You just need something to kind of hold it together. I start out with maybe 1/2 cup. It's the only way to make meatloaf. Mix it all together. I am just tonight making a basic venison meatloaf. I've already got my oven preheated at 350. And since this is venison, I've sprayed the pan with a little bit of olive oil spray, just because venison doesn't have a lot of fat in it and I don't want it to stick to my pan. So I'm going to just plop this in here. Give it a little bit of a shape. I make a little dent in it, in the middle. Helps it cook a little evenly. And then I'm going to stick this in the oven for about 45 minutes. Then I'll check it, make a little sauce to go on top, which is ketchup and brown sugar. Just gives it that little tanginess that we like, and it gives it a little crust, and it's just really, really good. Now we're going to work on our side dish. We're going to have some mashed potatoes. As much as possible, I like to use fresh vegetables, fresh meat. I'm just slicing these and putting them in the hot water. We'll let them boil. I don't want them too soft, but I don't want them hard either, because then they get lumpy. So we're just going to do that. I'll get these in here, and then we'll work on our next dish. Well, according to the timer, we've just got a couple more minutes on the meatloaf, so we want to go ahead and make our glaze. We're going to take some brown sugar, about a cup, but I don't measure it out. I don't push it down like you're supposed to with brown sugar. I just kind of put it in here and see. Then we'll take some ketchup, mix it all together. Try not to keep any lumps in it. I want to make sure that it's kind of smooth. This is basically kind of like a barbecue sauce that we're making, a barbecue glaze. Oh, it is ready. The ketchup won't dissolve the brown sugar, but it just kind of gives it that little sweet taste that we want. Get it out, kind of cut into it, make sure that it's doing what we want it to do, and it is. Oh, doesn't that look good? Nice and moist. It does need a few more minutes, but when we put this glaze on, that'll be good. Make a few holes in it so the glaze will seep down into it. Now, if you're making a meatloaf with just hamburger meat, beef, ground beef, you've got a lot of liquid in it, you might want to pour that off now that we're going to put the glaze on it. But with venison, you don't have to worry about all that extra fat in it. So we'll just pour this on. I use a small wooden spoon to mix it together, and that way I can just use this to spread this around. Try to keep it all on top because it's going to melt and just kind of seep into everything. Get down the sides. And then I'm going to stick this back in the oven for a few more minutes. And then we'll work on finishing up those potatoes. Those look good. Got them all mixed up. I'm going to add some salt and pepper to taste. Eddie likes a lot more pepper than I do. So I'm gonna kind of split the difference with him. And some salt. So I'm going to take just a little bit more butter, stick it here on the top, use my fingers, and let that kind of melt right on top before I serve dinner. Okay, everything is done now. The meatloaf, the sauce that we put on, the glaze, is nice and caramelized and all on top. Put it here on my plate, and I am ready for dinner. And now we're ready to eat our meal. We've got our meatloaf, mashed potatoes, a vegetable, a beverage. You can serve any kind of beverage, red wine, white wine. We've got sugar-free Kool-Aid. So we're going to have this meal. It'll be about 5 or 6 meals. We could have 3 or 4 people over for dinner and enjoy the meal. Well, I'll see you next time in Kelly's Kitchen.
Well, here we are. It's still slow. It's warm-ish. I've got too thick of camos on. It was 40 degrees this morning once I got down in here in the bottom ground. You know, it's funny the way things work. You know, I'm sitting 350 yards from where Chris shot his buck, and his buck, the coyotes took it and killed it, or chewed it up and ate it. It was already down right over here. You know, the hit was a little high because that buck dropped. It dropped at the sound, and you can see the knock of the bolt go through right at or above the spine. It rained that night. We had to back out, and it rained that night. We looked and we looked, and the blood was sparse, and we just couldn't find it. And you know, the coyotes took it. We're gonna check this deer in, of course. You know, it was a special hunt for me because Chris is in the Marines and he's headed back today. And he's going to California and then on to overseas. And, you know, I love him. He's my son and I'm very proud of him. So, God bless all the troops. And we'll see you here in a few minutes and we're going to wrap this thing up. And we're going to collect up this buck. We're going to check it in, even though we're not going to get the meat from it, which is okay. Because you know what? He still shot it. And we have it. And it's a memory that'll last a lifetime.
Just real quick, here with this still of Chris standing over his now destroyed buck. the morning he's supposed to go back to California. And I touched on how things are strange and weird, and how everything works out for a reason. There's his buck laying tag at his feet, and there's a lot of guys who would have just took that head and not checked it in. There's a lot of guys who just left it and just kept on hunting. And he did the right thing, and that's the important part. What we impart in our children and those that we teach how to hunt. And he has learned that despite the fact he lost the meat, despite all that, it was still in season. He still had the tag in his pocket, so he did the right thing. He tagged that deer he killed. And I'm not going to tell you have to do that, but it goes a long ways, and it says a lot about your personality. And if you're willing to do the right things in life, it makes you the kind of person that people want to be around. Congratulations, Chris. I'm sorry you didn't get the meat out of it. We're going to take this head and put it in a bag and get out of here and go check this deer in. I'm on a brand new stand site. As you can see, you've never seen this view before. And it's windy. It's rainy. The rut's beginning to move. The bucks are beginning to move. We're coming off of a pretty decent, lucky week for us, finding Chris's buck. Last I talked to him, he was in Amarillo, Texas this morning at about 9 o'clock this morning. And David's just down here about 250 or 300 yards. And we're covered up in deer sign. And hopefully something will happen this evening. And FYI, it's still early enough. I won't turn down a small deer. Hopefully button buck or small doe. And up here where we're at, we're not in Harrod County. We're in a different spot. I might just shoot a mature doe. I know that's the kiss of death, and that's going to plague me later. But there's enough of them here. I can afford one. He can afford one. Not down home. So we'll see what happens. Hope the wind doesn't mess with it too bad. And we'll see what happens here after a bit. I think what I'm gonna do is hit the ground, hit this green-eyed doe a few times, and see what happens, because this can go down at any time. Okay, that's enough. Shortly after I made that call, it probably wasn't 10 or 15 minutes, I caught movement back off into the woods, and we had some deer coming down the wood line right behind us. And I wasn't the only one having action that evening. It was rainy, it was cold, it was a little windy. The birds were moving, the squirrels were moving, and I hit that green-eyed doe call. Well, at exactly the same time this is happening, my partner David's down the fence line and the wood line about 300 yards or so, and he has action of his own. Let's check out what's happening at the same time these deer are approaching me, and then we're going to get right back into where they're coming to me. You know, the wind's blowing straight from David up to that deer, and he's trying his best not to get picked off, but this old gal has got him, and she took off, as you can see. And now let's go back and pick up the action where I'm at.
Just busted a deer up here. Dead deer down. I hope I got that. Well, I'll tell you what. There's blood everywhere here at impact. I mean, everywhere. And I'm gonna step in around here. Go in here and grab this deer. Right there lays my meat deer. And yes, I am a happy camper. Oh my goodness. Talk about a devastating blow. Alright, here's the important part. Writing out my tag, and make sure you tag your deer. As soon as I found him, before I gutted him, right here it is. And we got to stay legal. Okay, here we go. Put this down. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and split both hocks. That way you can hang them up when you get them home. Connecting my license, my tag. There you go. I'm going to put these up. And this jacket, by the way, green-eyed doe, blew it 5 minutes later. There they were, came right to the doe. I'm sitting, and that's as quick and as easy as it gets. I'm going to put away my stuff before I lose it here in the dark. And I've thrown deer blood all over everything. Let me wipe this off of my camo. Alright, I'm going to put the strap around his neck. Hamburgers, steak. Oh yeah. Deer tacos, deer spaghetti, deer lasagna. Well, what do you think?
Well, where have we seen
We'll
this
be back
before,
in a
Ed?
little bit.
Yeah.
Just me and Ed here tonight, folks. We haven't even seen anybody out other than people on the roads out and we've had some deer movement, and they was moving early, and they've been moving all along, and
Yeah.
he had a doe and a button buck come by him, so he's going to put some meat in the freezer with that button buck.
Yeah, and here's the thing, guys. The button buck's still with the doe. There's your sign. She's not hot, or he'd be gone. The other thing is, you know, I feel sorry for Dave, because when we pick a camera angle, and my camera angle might not be very good on this, we have to choose which side of the tree we're videoing. So you get about this much. Behind you is almost impossible to get. David had his deer come in behind him, and he probably couldn't get any video of it, and I feel sorry for him. The same thing happened to me. They actually came behind me from where I expected them, but I got lucky, and I just swung the camera arm around, and I think I got a really good view for you folks. Now, I didn't get a lot of the running away, and I'm sorry, but you know, that crossbow bolt went all the way through, drove into the dirt 6 inches. Guys, this is what hunting's all about. Don't get hung up on what they are, just get hung up on friendship and doing this. David, whose turn was it tonight?
It was your turn, no doubt.
No doubt, because he killed one just a couple nights ago. So, a couple mornings ago. So, we're out of here. Got to get this out. Got to get home. Got to get it checked in. Got to get it cut up.
Already got it tagged, I see.
Tagged up. Everything's legal.
All right.
Let's get out of here. Hey, thanks for joining us today. And I hope you enjoyed the show. And you know what? That was real world hunting right there, what you just seen. Chris is going back to the Marines down in California. And he doesn't have any more time left. So it's funny how things worked out. We lost that deer. The coyotes found that deer. The rain washed away the blood. We couldn't follow the blood. And just out of happenstance, the stand I chose this morning dragged me right past that deer, and he was laying within 50 yards. And it's a stand I haven't been around all year. And it was about 400 yards away from where we last seen that deer. And you know what? That's the way it works. And Chris did the right thing. He tagged the deer. He checked the deer in. He didn't get any meat out of it, and that's a shame. Coyotes ate it, but he got the rack. He's done buck hunting here in Indiana for the year. So, Chris, did you have a good time?
Yeah, I had a great time hunting. It's all about the camaraderie and, you know, the experience that you learn being away from it for 6 years now, you know. I relearned some things. You know, I already knew it, but I relearned some things. I forgot how far deer can drop. I forgot, you know, how quiet they are. I forgot that they know that you're there, and you don't even know that they know you're there, you know. You learn a bunch, you get out of it for a bit, you relearn it, but, you know, it's all learning experience, and he's still learning, I'm still learning, David's still learning, we're all still learning deer hunting every day.
You never quit learning deer hunting. The minute you become the expert and you don't learn from your experiences is the minute you actually lose. You know, this wind's picking up, and that's okay. The rut's picking up. They're not going to quit moving because it's cold. It's cooled off. I hope you learned something. We went pre-season, post-season scouting down there on around where that food plot was. We did a frost seeding. We followed the food plot show. Then you saw the results of the trail camera show and why we do things. And then on the very first hunt on the food plot, we killed a buck that's standing right in front of the camera, posing for you on the first hunt. And that's the way it should work, guys. Wait for the right conditions, the right day, shoot something you know's there, and quit waiting for a ghost deer that just doesn't exist. If he's not on your camera, he doesn't exist. You gotta go with what you know. Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes a deer from miles around will come in during the rut. But that's called luck hunting. Chris got to be the recipient of hard work, hard scouting, and proper timing. It just didn't quite work out for the shot because the deer dropped so fast
you don't have a bow fast enough, they don't make a crossbow fast enough at 25 yards that a deer can't duck. I hope you enjoyed the food plotting show. I hope you enjoyed the kills. Stick around and see what we do next week here on Team Indiana Outdoors. I'm Ed Hunt.
I'm Chris Hunt.
Come back to see us now. You hear? I'd like to thank Chris, and I'd like to thank Dave and everybody for this show, the bow hunting show, the early season show. And people, hunt ethical, hunt smart, and you can have a good time with your good friends while you're hunting. It's not always about the killing. I'm Ed Hunt. Have a good day. Thanks for joining Hunt Outdoors this week. Remember, we hunt the way you do. We hunt outdoors. I'd like to thank Cody Hunt, Chris Hunt, my wife Kelly Hunt. Of course, you guys know who I am. I'm Ed Hunt. And let's not forget my other hunting friends out there, like Clint Van Adder, David Shepard, Josh Shepard, and of course Neil Fowler. I'd like to thank our sponsors, and I'd like to thank Hunt Outdoors for making it all possible. Remember, hunt outdoors. It's what we do. Year after year, buck after buck, season after season, they keep falling for Hunt Outdoors game calls. That's right, Hunt Outdoors. Whether it's the buck smoker, the lonely doe, or the green-eyed doe, they'll all bring them running. That's Hunt Outdoors. Don't forget the name, and don't forget we're your game's worst nightmare. Hunt Outdoors. Pick us up at Wabash, at Bats and Bucks, or on the web at www.huntoutdoorsllc.com. That's huntoutdoorsllc.com. Check us out. Put more bucks on the ground with a 100% American-made game call. Hunt Outdoors. It's what we do.